Hello everyone, my name is Sarah. I'm the chef of the Mycological Society. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I'm really excited to cook with you all. Today we're going to be making an oyster mushroom po' boy. We got these beautiful pink oyster mushrooms from Golden Mushroom in Ocean Beach. They're so beautiful and I'm so excited to work with them. So first what we'll be doing is cutting up the mushrooms into little bite-sized pieces. So normally po' boys are made with shrimp, so we'll cut them up into about shrimp-sized pieces. I really like the flavor of oyster mushrooms. It's nice and meaty, so it's gonna go really well in our po' boys today. I like to cut them off individually just to keep them in their true form. So after I'm done cutting these up, I'm going to dredge them in a buttermilk mixture. Also, we want to make sure that we cut off these rough ends because they won't taste very well and they'll be a little tough to chew up. Now that all of the oyster mushrooms are cut into bite-sized pieces, we are going to make our buttermilk soak for it. So we have our buttermilk right here. Add it to your bowl. I also like to add some fish sauce because we're cooking with mushrooms. It adds just a little bit of that seafood taste that you're gonna wanna have. Also a little bit of Old Bay seasoning. So all these flavors are gonna absorb into these mushrooms and it's going to be really delicious. We'll just whisk this a little bit. And we're going to add our mushrooms. And push them down a bit. They're gonna float to the top. We just want them to be covered with all of the buttermilk goodness. Okay. Now that they're covered, we're gonna set them aside and let them soak. And from here, we are going to make our remoulade sauce. What is a po' boy without a remoulade sauce? You need your sauce. So first, I have some mayo. We're gonna add some mayo, and all the measurements are gonna be on the screen for you all to have. So this sauce is really gonna make our po' boy nice and delicious. We have our ketchup, a little bit of Worcestershire, and I really enjoy a nice smoky fish, smoky anything really. I think it's a beautiful flavor, especially with mushrooms. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of this liquid smoke. Just a drop goes a long way. And we have our honey Dijon as well. For the remoulade, we are also going to dice a pickle. So when I dice pickles, I like to keep the center part out. So just use the outsides of it for the remoulade. It'll add a nice crunch, nice acidity. It'll be really nice. You can have this middle part for a snack or whatever you decide to do with it. I like to do my pickles in nice little tiny pieces so that you can taste the crunch, but also you're not gonna taste only pickles. So just nice small dices. When you dice, make sure to leave your fingers out of the way, especially with pickles because they roll. So you're gonna wanna keep the flat part on the cutting board to avoid any injuries. Now that we have our pickles cut, I'm going to put it into our sauce. So the sauce now will be nice and acidic from our pickles and our Dijon and sweet from the honey mustard. We're also going to add some lemon zest. So when I zest a lemon, I like to hold the lemon like this and just zest up and catch it all in the microplane. You're not gonna lose any, and you're just gonna make sure that you get all that beautiful, sweet lemon zest that you want. So we have that right there, as well as we're gonna juice some lemon, half of a lemon juice. So we're gonna stir all of this together. It's gonna make our beautiful sauce. It smells really nice in here already. So this will be our sauce for our po' boy. Just like that. I will set it in front. Now that our remoulade sauce is ready, we're gonna go ahead and take our oyster mushrooms out of the buttermilk and dredge it in the flour. So now is the time when you're gonna wanna turn your pan of oil on. I have about 2 inches of a neutral oil, so any canola oil, peanut oil, avocado oil, anything you'd wanna use. I have it right in here. So we're gonna wanna bring this up to about 350 degrees. So here in this plate, I have cornmeal, flour, and crushed red pepper. Like I said, I really enjoy my sandwiches and food really spicy, so you can decide to leave it out if you'd like. I enjoy it. I'm also gonna use some Old Bay seasoning as well in here and just mix it up. So we use cornmeal to give it a nice texture and a nice crunch. If we were to only use flour, it wouldn't be as crunchy. So we're gonna use flour and the cornmeal as well. Okay, so now that you have your oyster mushrooms have been marinating for a while, we're gonna dredge them in this cornmeal and flour mixture. So we use cornmeal to give it a nice bite and texture to it. It's gonna make it nice and crispy and really good. So when we dredge, we are just going to take it right out of this buttermilk. And you want to have extra buttermilk on there. And we're just going to place them in this flour dredge. We're going to do this a few times just to make sure that the flour sticks to it. Always when you're breading anything, you're gonna have a wet hand and a dry hand. So I'm gonna keep this hand for wet ingredients and this hand for dry ingredients, or else you're gonna have a very cakey hands. No one likes cakey hands. So you're gonna wanna press it into this nice flour mixture, so we can make sure that we get it all on there. And it's okay if you crowd the flour a little bit because we want We want this to get very moist, and we want the flour to be able to stick to these mushrooms. This is a very easy recipe for when you have people over. It doesn't cost very much money. All these ingredients cost me about $40, so it's really nice. So once we have all of our ingredients out of here, we're just gonna mix it around. And now we want our hands to be in the flour. And we're gonna want to get it nice and pressed on the mushrooms so that we don't want our flour to fall off when we're frying the oyster mushrooms. So we want it to get nice on there. It's gonna be very nice and dense. You're gonna have little pieces, which are nice because when you fry them up, they're gonna be almost like a little tempura pieces. We'll put them to the side. We're gonna put them on a plate to the side and rest them while we make the vegetables that go on the po' boy. So here we have our little breaded oyster mushroom pieces. They look so cute, just like little shrimps, ready for their sandwich. I'm gonna go ahead and put this to the side and wash my hands. While our oil is coming to temp, we're gonna take care of the vegetables for the sandwich. I got some nice plump beefsteak tomatoes. I like to use these because they're nice and juicy. We're just gonna give them a nice little thin slice. If we were to use Romas, we wouldn't have all that nice juiciness. So here we have our tomatoes. And I like to use iceberg lettuce for my po' boys. That's a traditional way. It's nice and crunchy. Need to make sure it's nice and ice cold as well. It's gonna really offset the heat of the oyster mushrooms. So to take the core out, you just smash the iceberg and remove the core. So we have that. Also, we are going to cut this in half. And if you see the little layers, we're gonna go against the layers of this iceberg to make it nice and shredded. So we'll cut it in quarters and just cut diagonally with against the grain of the iceberg. And we want it nice and thin, just like shredded iceberg. Again, be careful of your fingers because it's a little bit wobbly. Once we come to the last part, I like to flip mine down and just cut it again with this little part right here. All right, we'll transfer that into a bowl, set it aside. And you're gonna want to put this right into the fridge to make sure that it's nice and cold. And put it in the fridge. All right. And since we are the Mycological Society of San Diego, California, I decided we would add an avocado to it. It's gonna give it a nice creaminess, and who doesn't love avocados? So we will scoop this, and here we have our beautiful avocado. We'll just scoop it out, just like this. Set it on the flat side, and we will slice it from there. All right, and we will set this to the side. Now that all of our vegetables are cut for our sandwich, We will now move to frying the oyster mushrooms. And now that we're finished slicing the avocado, we're gonna go ahead and toast our bread. I like to toast my bread whole because in this sandwich, we want a nice crispy outside and a nice soft inside. So toasting it whole will guarantee that that happens. So I have the oven on 350, we're gonna toast it. Now that our oil is heated to 350 degrees, I'm going to put the oyster mushrooms in there. When you place stuff in oil, you want to place it away from yourself so you don't burn yourself. You also want to be sure not to crowd the pan. If you crowd the pan, then your mushrooms aren't going to cook evenly. So we'll put only 4 or 5 in there at a time. Be careful of the splatters. We'll cook those for about 3 minutes or until they're golden brown. I also like to flip them over halfway. Okay, while those are browning, we're gonna take our bread out of the oven and get it ready for the oyster mushrooms. I like to just cut mine in half per serving and then cut it in half again. Nice crispy outside, soft inside. It's really nice. Let's just give these another flip really quickly. All that beautiful fish sauce inside of those mushrooms. Nice crispy breading. It's gonna get nice and golden brown. All right. We're gonna take our remoulade sauce. Okay, so now we're gonna spread our remoulade sauce on our bread. Don't be shy. Sauce, in my opinion, is really sauce and meat really are what makes up a sandwich. We have this beautiful oyster mushrooms, and now we're gonna put the beautiful remoulade, smoky remoulade with it. These seem to be done. See this golden brown, nice and crispy. It's really lovely. Smells delicious too. So now we're gonna build our sandwich. Take our nice ice cold iceberg out. So we have our lettuce first. I like to put my lettuce and vegetables on the top and my proteins on the bottom. I just think it makes for a nice balance of flavors. So we have our lettuce right there. And our tomatoes, a few slices of tomato, as well as our avocado. I'll use 1/4 of an avocado per sandwich. We'll just lay that out really nicely. All right, now we have our beautiful fried oyster mushrooms we're gonna put right in the bottom of this. And depending on the size, I'd say about 5 per. All right. And from here, we'll just close it up. Okay, and here you have your beautiful Oyster Po'Boy. We're gonna cut it in half and wow, can you hear the crispiness of those mushrooms? And here we have our Oyster Po'Boy. So since we have some extra ingredients, we'll just make a little salad on the side for you to enjoy. With this iceberg, we'll do just a little wedge salad. Why not? I love wedge salad. I love iceberg. So crispy and crunchy. We'll put a few of those tomato slices on there, as well as some avocado. If you wanted to, you could use the remoulade as a dressing, or you can use some nice olive oil. Also optional is a lemon wedge, which I enjoy. I enjoy simple things with my seafood. So we can do a nice little lemon wedge. It's a really delicious dressing right here. So we'll just put a lemon wedge over it and some nice sea salt. And if you're like me and you love spicy, we can put a little bit of crushed red pepper on it. I want to thank you so much for joining us making an oyster mushroom po' boy. It was very fun. I also want to thank Golden Mushroom for providing these beautiful pink oysters and Cinema Viva Kitchen for providing this beautiful kitchen for us to film in. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to us. Other than that, happy eating.